Good morning to some, good evening to others. My timekeeping skills are decent at best. They're not the best, but they're decent. I'll say I've seen people be later than me, so chill, Andrew. Anyway, what's up, everybody? This is your UFC Monterrey Pre-Fight Show presented by CrossBonesMMA.com. My name is Eddie Law. This is Jesse Rubalcaba with me. A stacked card of people not a lot of people know, right? Unless you watch either of the any of the Tough Latin America seasons. And if you're, like a fan of because you got the casual fans that know everybody, pretty much fan of Mexicans, obviously me. But obviously if you're a casual fan, you know everybody at the top, the champions, the big names, and all that, right? If you're a hardcore fan, you know most of the roster at least. But a lot of these guys, you still don't know them, even if you are a hardcore fan, right? Because there's just so much MMA and UFC alone is, they're just trying to cut down on the roster, but there's at least 500 fighters in there, plus other promotions. So it's hard to keep track. But that's what we're here for. We're gonna break down the entire card, and let's get started, man, on the UFC prelims. They start at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. With and of course we're gonna shit on all the nicknames because they all kind of suck. Maybe there's like 2 decent ones. I don't know what Bidu means, but Valmir Lazaro against Mikel Tractor Praceres. 2 Brazilians kicking off the prelims, man. Lazaro is 13-3. Praceres is 18-2. Now we got what do they say? Styles make fights. We got a guy that likes to win on the ground, and Praceres way more than Lazaro, who likes to knock dudes out. So let's start here with you, man. What do you think of this fight? Who you got winning?
I think the problem here that I see is, again, we always talk about how they try to set up the fights and how they try to set up this card. And I think this is kind of the quintessential way to start this fight card, because you got 2 guys that have experience, one guy that just has his hands better honed in, and another guy that pretty decent on the stand up but not as good, but knows exactly how to shut that down. Honestly, it's going to be a tough fight, I think. The only thing I'm going with Prazeres here is because of the fact that before he got into the UFC, he went on a 16-0 run, got into the UFC, ran into some beasts. Honestly, some beasts. His only 2 losses, Paulo Thiago and Kevin Lee, both guys that are on the up and up. And then you look at Lazaro, one lost to James Vick, 1 against James Krause. The win against James Krause is pretty impressive, but James Vick, not very impressive. He didn't look that good in that fight either. 11 wins in a row before coming into the UFC as well. So both of these guys are really, really good outside of the UFC. Inside the UFC, running into some trouble. But I think Prazeres has the one. He's had a little bit more time in the UFC. And I think he's kind of honed his skills a little bit better inside the octagon. So I think that's what we're going to see in this fight.
And by the way, if you're looking at their records here, Praceres has a win over Anderson Silva.
Not the right Anderson Silva.
Anderson Banana Silva. We're talking about nicknames right now. Who the fuck?
Oh, man.
I'm a nickname Banana. You can make so many gay jokes off of that. PC thing, But yeah, so I'm with you, man. I'm going with the guy that has that. He had the long ass winning streak here with what's his name, Tractor, whatever. Praceres had the long winning streak. He has more experience, and on the ground. And Lazaro, while he can handle himself on the ground all right, I still got Praceres by decision on this one. So yeah, it's gonna do for that fight. All right, next fight on the Fight Pass prelims: Cesar Arzamendia, his nickname's Goku, against Polo Reyes, El Toro. We got Paraguay against Mexico. Huh?
The first of the Toros on the fight card.
How many is there? 2?
There's 2 of them. Yeah. They need to fight it out to see who gets to keep that nickname.
We make a fight between these 2, and then Donald Cerrone and
Gilbert Burns, I think.
Which Oliveira is Cowboy?
Oh, it's Oliveira. That's right.
It's like I gotta sneeze like a motherfucker. Okay, it's not gonna happen. Anyway, it'll happen in a second. Anyway, so Goku against El Toro on this one. Again, 2 guys that not a lot of people know about. 7-2 for Cesar. I'm just gonna call him Goku. His last name's ridiculous. 7-2 for Goku, and Reyes has a 5-3 record. obviously UFC knows jack squat about them because they put no stats up about them. So we gotta dig in deep, which is obviously what we're supposed to do here on this show. So yeah, Short Dog got jack shit on it too. All right, again, this is live television, so this is what happens. But what do you think of this fight, man?
I mean, it's an interesting fight. I mean, anybody that's an anime fan, Dragon Ball Z fan, has already seen this fight. Goku beat the hell out of the Ox King. So that's what's gonna happen here. I don't know, man. Both of these guys making their debut. Polo Reyes is in his hometown. He's the hometown boy. Basically, he's from Mexico. It's just going to be a tough fight, in my opinion, to really have the weight of being the hometown boy, coming in here first time in the octagon. And again, both of these guys don't have that much experience. I mean, 7-2 for Goku. I think it's like 8-3 for Reyes. So I mean, not a lot of ring time, between both of these guys. I just got to go with Goku, who seems to have the more well-rounded skill set. Again, both of these guys making their debut. I looked up a little bit of their time in the Tough Latin America. I think they were part of the first season, or at least one of them was, or one of those. I don't remember. Or I think maybe they're on this season.
They're on this season. The first season had there's a couple guys in the first season. This season.
Yeah. They didn't do so well, but they also didn't look that bad. I saw a couple of their matchups, just tough matchups that they had to go through. So, I got to go with Goku here.
Yeah, look, unless there's some kind of close ass fight on this one, or just a terrible decision in this one. This is basically a winner gets to stay, kinda, right? Because there's no way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Look, just like you said, neither one of these guys was very impressive on the Tough show, and as we've seen, Tough hasn't come up with the best fighters. I mean, they come up with very few, actually, other than the first season. They come up with very few guys that have lasted very long recently, right? The recent shows. So I don't expect either one of these guys, honestly, to stick around very long. But I'm going to make my pick purely out of being Mexican. So Reyes wins. I don't care. I said it. Anyway. And I know for sure Andrew's screaming racist at the television. But I'm not, because it's my people. So I don't give a fuck. Anyway. All right, the last fight on the Fight Pass prelims. Vernon Ramos against Alvaro Chango Herrera. Mexico against Panama. Obviously, the Ramos is undefeated at 3-0. But let's talk about that real quick. They're bringing in a lot of guys in the Tough series with little to no experience, right?
Yeah. That's
been the trend in the show. That's honestly, for my opinion of that show, that's the problem. They don't bring guys that have decent records. They bring guys that are 3-0 and all these weak ass records. But like truly,
but I mean,
what?
I look at the people that have through the show that have good records. They don't do that good either. Who was it? Who was the last guy that we had? We had somebody that had not that good of a record recently. The last person I can remember that had a decent record and was pretty successful house was Big before that. I think before that we had what was his name? The Bellator champion or ex-champion's brother that went through the house. He got wrecked.
Lima.
Yeah, Lima. Lots of hype behind that kid. Couldn't do anything in the house.
He knocked the fuck out. His problem.
Again, look at the people that look at the girls that went through the Tough house for the 115-pound division. You had a lot of, just pretty much canceling each other out. You got one person that everybody's like, oh yeah, she's gonna win. She did win. And then she got wrecked by somebody that didn't even go through, the competition. So, I mean, honestly, I think it's better when you have people that nobody really knows about to go through that. That way you're actually building stars. Kind of like what is it? World Series of Fighting and Bellator have done with, their guys, people that nobody knows. And then they come like think of Michael Venom Page, Justin Gaethje, those guys that, UFC didn't really think much about, and then they came up through their system and now they're stars. Well, stars to us, but
stars to us, yeah. Yeah, if guys like Justin Gaethje ever make it to the UFC, I don't think they'll be stars to a lot of people.
No.
But we'll see.
He has a lot of problems with his style. He likes to stop punches with his face way too much. So
yeah, he's not very concerned about his brain very much. So anyway, talking about Ramos, 3-0, or has only fought in Panama in 2 different promotions. And they're all submission wins, right? 1 triangle choke, 1 arm bar, and the one guy tapped the punches. I haven't seen that in a minute. I've seen it in recent times. I haven't seen many people recently tap the punches. Against who?
Chuck Liddell.
Oh, that was a while ago though. I'm talking about recent.
That's the last one I can remember, and that was fun.
That was fun. Everybody was cheering when that dude got fucking TKO'd. When he tapped the punches. Real quick, I gotta share it. Andrew tweeting over. My people, King Eduardo the Bollocks. You know what? I tell you what, if I was a king, it'd be the most chilled out kingdom on the planet. Fucking everybody be high all the time. People be nice to each other and shit. Taking that shit.
And we'd be running Tough Mudders all the time, right? And
be running Tough Mudders and Spartan races all the time. We'd be beasts, physical beasts that are super nice. So basically, everybody would try to be Nick Diaz, basically. So anyway,
awesome.
Yeah, it would be great. Herrera Mendoza is 8-3. Again, hasn't fought anybody of any kind of anywhere near the UFC level, even a Bellator level. You know, like none of these guys have even enough experience to be in Bellator or World Series of Fighting. Maybe World Series of Fighting, but not Bellator, certainly. So it's again UFC jitters. Good thing they're on the Fight Pass prelims because no one's gonna watch it. I'm gonna take Mendoza or Herrera just on experience really. Yeah, who you gonna take on this one?
Yeah, I got the same. I mean, both of these guys basically first time fighting in the UFC in front of a crowd, big crowd. You know, it's a bad recipe in my opinion for a lot of these guys. So I think Herrera's gonna take this fight down pretty easily. Plus, he's already experienced a loss on his record, so he understands what it takes to come back from a loss and get better. Ramos hasn't felt that yet, so he probably thinks that everything he's doing is good and can't be done any better. So
Yep. And Herrera likes to knock dudes out as well. So I don't know how much experience Ramos has with dudes that like to strike, but he's gonna find out tonight.
We'll call that the Ronda Rousey syndrome, right?
If it ain't broke, we're getting cold already. It's still fresh. It's still fresh, man.
I know. It hurts.
Well, hey, because people have been fucking tweeting me about it all fucking week. I'm a Ronda fan, but I'm not like a super fan where I'm just like, oh, fuck Holly, she cheated. No, 100%. I like Holly. That was a sick ass performance, but we'll talk about it in a different show because otherwise we'll be here for an hour talking about Ronda Rousey. For some reason, some people would not even mind. Anyway, so that's the Fight Pass prelims. Obviously, UFCFightPass.com, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. After that, move over to Fox Sports 1 or whatever channel has it wherever you live. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Kicking off with Gabriel Mowgli Benitez against Andre Tuchifili. These might be my favorite nicknames on the entire card. Really.
Nah, man. I'm still vouching for Hecho en Mexico.
That's your favorite?
Yeah.
All right.
Because you know exactly what he's about, man.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking making phone calls and shit from beaches, can't give interviews correcely. And
exactly.
You want to know about
Mexico,
that one?
Yeah.
Ask. Yeah, exactly. I don't give a fuck. I'm on the beach. What's up? That story you can go check out. Talk to Aaron Robbins and Fred Kirby. They can tell you all about how Aaron nearly lost his fucking mind doing that. Talking to him from the beach. But anyway, Andre Tuchifili, of course, from Team Alpha Male. He's already had a few fights in the UFC. And Mowgli Benitez from that first season of Tough. One of those guys that doesn't look impressive when he fights. He really doesn't. But he pulls it out of his ass somehow every time, right? In the UFC, I believe he's undefeated. Yeah, he's 2-0. Beat Humberto Brown Morrison, who he was on the show with. And then beat Clay Collar via decision. Both fights were in Mexico. UFC 180.
What? He beat Cassius Clay?
Cassius Clay. That still bothers me. Why the fuck? Okay, never mind. Moving on. Taking on Team Alpha Male's Andre Tuchifili, who's coming off a loss to Godofredo Castro via triangle choke. Godofredo, that dude is that slick ass Brazilian that is a weird fucking hair. So I thought that was I remember seeing that fight and I was like, he has like red hair or something like that. But seeing that fight, I was like, it's a fight of the weirdos, man. Both guys are kind of strange. But regardless, Tuchifili, 4 fights in the UFC, he's gone 2-2. Mowgli is 2-0 in the UFC. I'll go first here on this one. I would love to pick Mowgli. I really would. I'm a huge fan of Andre Feely. Mostly because the nickname. Look, who has the balls to have a nickname like Andre Touchy Feely? Like, you just don't give a shit, right?
Hey man.
Honestly,
hey, man.
I would
still
change
got
my
Uncle
opinion.
Creepy out there.
Uncle Creepy's a shit. But I'll tell you what, if Ryan Bader changed his nickname to Master, I'll become a fan immediately. I like people with sense of humor. Andre Touchy Feely, Uncle Creepy, all those guys that have like nicknames that could possibly be embarrassing. Great sense of humor, right? So until Ryan Bader changes his nickname to Master, I don't give a fuck. So anyway, from what we saw on the show and in his fights, Benitez is a striker. He likes to strike. However, most of his wins come in submission, man. You got that guillotine choke against Humberto Brown, which really surprised the fuck out of me. I didn't think he was gonna get that. And then, but very durable. Took a lot of shots against Clay Collard. So I'm actually gonna go with Andre Feely though. Too much team alpha male, too much experience, and dude likes to do. If you start throwing down with Andre Feely, he's gonna stay throwing down. He's gonna hurt you. So who you got in this one?
I got to go pretty much across the board against you on that one. I think the reason that Benitez is so good with the submission is because he uses his hands really well to set him up. And when he hurts you, he's not trying to finish you off by, jumping in your guard and, throwing down some punches and stuff. He knows exactly that. He's got you hurt. He knows you're disoriented. So he's going to, slip in a choke, slip in something, when you can't even defend against it. Because you're all out of it. So, and I think the reason I really can't pick Andre Feely here is because of the fact that he's so inconsistent.
Hater.
And that's always the trouble with fighters for me, the inconsistency. Even though you look at his competition that he lost against. Not really the best competition to lose to.
I don't know. Max Holloway's a bad motherfucker, man.
Max Holloway's the exception in that rule. Mm-hmm. And before then, he was ripping through everybody. I think he was on a 13-fight win streak before he ran into Max Holloway. So I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying that I think the inconsistency for me is it's kind of like the Uriah Hall syndrome. Until I see him put together a string of wins, I just can't put my confidence in him. And that's what I think is going to happen here. I think they're both going to get into a fist fight here, and Andre Feely's going to get comfortable just throwing hands, get caught with something, and then Benitez is going to take his back and choke him out. So I think Benitez is going to take this by submission.
All right, that's the first time I didn't pick the Mexican and you did. You went the other way. We switched roles on this one.
All right.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
Well, apparently. All right. So next up we have Alejandro Perez against Scott Jorgensen. Diablito against Young Guns. So you can't hate too much on the nicknames here. But Scott Jorgensen.
Scott Jorgensen is not young, dude.
He's 33. He's not that old either. And not that old either. He's in fight years. He's old, right? He's been in the UFC forever. In WEC and UFC forever, I think. But if you want a picture of inconsistency and barely hanging on, you would if you put that term or somehow find a term inconsistent. You looked up inconsistent in the dictionary. There'd be a giant picture of Scott Jorgensen on there. It's sad because he's such a good dude and he's actually fun to watch fight when he actually lets everything go. But right away from coming into the UFC, had a 2-fight win streak, then lost to obviously Renan Barão and Eddie Wineland. Not easy guys to beat, right? Then had a one win against John Albert, and then lost 3 in a row to Uriah Faber, Zach Makovsky, and Jussier Formiga. I think he fought too. Mm-hmm. Then a win against David Martinez apparently bought him some more time because now he's on another 2-fight losing streak, and I think it's going to add one more, and we'll see our boy head off to either Bellator, World Series of Fighting, because I don't think he beats Alejandro Perez. By the way, Alejandro Perez is not the most talented fighter if we really look at the what he's brought to the cage for, right? Lost to Patrick Williams in 20 seconds in Mexico. He ran into he ran at him and got guillotined. Basically, that's kind of what happened. They're like, please take my neck, bitch. And then got taken out. He beat Jose Alberto Quiñones in UFC 180. That's his only win in the UFC. Before that, he's got a lot of good wins. A lot of them, against pretty weak competition. But I think Scott Jorgensen's time is coming, man. I think he's gonna lose to the younger Alejandro Perez. So I got a debate on this one. Who you got?
I agree with you. I just think that they're trying to give Scott Jorgensen fights he can win. And you look at his last two losses. I mean, those are fights that if you got Scott Jorgensen at peak, letting everything go like you said and being the guy that we remember fighting, he wins those fights easily. But I mean, just so inconsistent, not showing up to fights somehow, like just it's almost like he's not even trying in there sometimes, he kind of just lets the moment slip by, and he has some moments in those fights, but he just doesn't capitalize and just kind of lets it slip out of his hands. And it's almost like he's losing that killer instinct, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is another case where the UFC really likes him and really wants to give him that push. And they're giving him another person that, he should be able to beat. On paper, he should be able to beat Perez. He should. But is he? I really don't think so. I agree with you. I think his time is done. I think just all those wars that he's had before, I mean, he's got a long history of fights. And like you said, the inconsistency, I don't know if maybe it's injuries or just, like I said, old age in fight time.
Mm-hmm.
That's just starting to catch up with him where he's just not the guy we remember. So I think it'll be an exciting fight, but because he always puts up a fight no matter what. But I don't think I really don't see him winning this fight.
Yeah, and Jorgens is one of those guys that kind of pulls at your heartststrings a little bit. He's a sentimental pick, right? He's a guy that's been there for a long time. Like we said, plenty of exciting fights. A few heartbreaking losses where he had the fight, made one little mistake and got taken out. So, you root for the guy. I'm rooting for the guy. I don't think he's going to win this fight. So, yeah, I think he loses.
Hope we're wrong.
Huh?
This is the one where you hope you're wrong. Like you just want it to go his way. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, Perez is young. He's got one loss in the UFC. He could eat one more, right? Give Scotty some more time, man. I like Scotty. Anyway, all right, moving on here. The other El Toro's up. Hector Urbina El Toro against Polish. He's flying a long ass way for a fight. Polish Bartoszewski Babinski, the Butcher. Now, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong. Europeans like the Butcher nickname a whole lot because I hear it everywhere. Every other European's nicknamed the Butcher. So I'm like, all right, you fucking weirdos. Anyway, Hector Urbina coming off a win at UFC 180 in November of last year. Hasn't fought in a whole year. Here's the reason why. Because if you remember UFC 180, Velasquez, dropped out, but they loaded that card with as many Latinos and Mexicans as they possibly could, right? Not only UFC, World Series of Fighting will do that too. For example, World Series of Fighting, not last night. I didn't get to go to last night, but the one I went to last time, where it was Luis Palomino against Justin Gaethje too. They loaded it with Arizona talent, guys that I know, guys that I used to train with. I hung out with them afterwards. I was like, hey, it was good and everything, but that's what cards do. So they go to Mexico, Mexican fighters. You want to get the crowd into it. You want to just like we talk about setting up cards all the time. That's part of it. Getting local talent that people know, that people can root for. They bring their friends, families, teammates, whatever. So, but that's the reason we haven't seen Hector Urbina since November last year. So he's got one fight in the UFC, one win, a submission, a guillotine choke in the first round. So he knows how to finish. Mind you, it was against Gabriel Garcia, who isn't that great of a fighter. He comes out of Yuma, and nothing good. If you know Arizona, nothing good ever comes out of Yuma, except Cain Velasquez, and even that went to shit for a second. So,
and that's the claim to fame, huh?
His claim for Yuma? No, Yuma's claim to fame is drug runners. That's what Yuma's claim to fame is, and being the worst city on the planet. Quick story.
I was gonna say, man.
Yeah, quick story on the side. I've gotten stuck in Yuma for work. I had to drive down there and then drive back in his big fucking 24-foot truck, right? And which already sounds like a terrible fucking story. So it makes me sound like a goddamn drug runner myself. But the truck broke down, and I couldn't find a mechanic, so I had to wait 8 hours for a tow truck from Phoenix, because nobody in Yuma would drive through to Phoenix. So I'm like, what are you fuckers hiding? The hell. So anyway. Story for a different podcast or a Periscope maybe. But anyway, he's fighting Bartosz Babinski, the Butcher from Poland. 29 years old, 12-2. Also has one fight in the UFC. Fought at Fight Nick Gonzaga vs. Crow Cop, Poland, I believe where that was, right?
Yeah.
So again, but they're dragging this dude from Poland. I mean, damn. But has a win over Gareth McClellan via a decision. He likes to throw hands. That's what it is. This is a rock and sock and robot fight. That's what they want to see, right? So in this one, I mean, what's his name? Urbina has 5 submission wins on his record, so he can go to the ground. He can win on the ground. Whether or not when he hits the ground he'll be awake is another story. We'll have to find out how he can deal with the Butcher's striking. Who are you getting in this one?
Man, I think it's a tough fight for me because I think that Hector Urbina has a lot of potential. Like you said, he's well-rounded enough to where he's really dangerous in almost every aspect of the fight game. He's real knowledgeable on the ground, and he's knowledgeable enough to stay out of places, out of submissions, out of dangerous positions. In most of his fights that I've seen, he doesn't really get caught underneath and start getting, ground and pounded on. He has enough knowledge to kind of get away from that, break people down and really, not really take that much damage. Well, the problem, like you said, is that he's fighting somebody that has really, really good striking. Really good striking by comparison to the people that Urbina's fought so far. And I think it's going to be one of those things where we're going to find out whether Urbina really does have that chin and have that talent to be able to stand in there and strike away and, just find a way to get it down to the ground into his favorite domain, is getting it down to the ground, submitting somebody. But I think Urbina is going to be game. I think this is going to be a good fight. But I think the Butcher's going to end up filet mignoning some of the Toro later. So I think Fabinski's going to win this fight.
Yeah, physically there's not much of a difference. There's a 2-inch reach advantage for Fabinski, but I'm telling you, Urbina's going to try to take this fight to the ground as soon as he can, try and get that win. I think that's what happens. Hoping that fighting at home again isn't going to get to him, and hype him up too much, maybe get an adrenaline dump. But I think he gets to fight to the ground, gets a submission of some kind, or at least grinds out a decision, wins off points if he wants to. So that's that fight there. In the prelim, what do you call it? Feature prelim, Eric Goyito Perez. What does Goyito mean? I know it means something. What does it mean? Do you remember?
I've asked around. It doesn't mean anything really.
I'm pretty sure it means something. I just can't remember what it was. Whatever. Eric Perez against Taylor Double Impact Lapalus. Double Impact. Well, he's a Frenchman, so coming from France, he's obviously I'm not making a joke of it, but he's got plenty of inspiration to go with, right?
Oh, god damn.
That's not relax. I'm not making fun of the guy.
Damn.
Hey, it's real. That's just real, right? I mean, look. Remember after 9/11, the Yankees. It was the Yankees
Diamondbacks. Too damn soon, man. Jesus.
Chill. Days after, Yankees Diamondbacks, and the Yankees come back from getting their butts kicked in New York. And come back. Of course, they lost Game 7, but
I was gonna make a Jean-Claude Van Damme reference, but jeez.
Go with it. What is it? What's Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Well, that's the movie. The movie's Double Impact.
Oh yeah. Huh. Was it a good movie? Because I didn't see that shit. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big fan of his, other than Bloodsport.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodsport.
Best movie ever.
That was a good movie. I mean, it's just bloody as all hell.
Anybody that denies that or that says that he's got other good movies can go suck off a big fat one. That's the only good movie he ever made. So
that's what he's known for. So
and down here is my Twitter. You guys can send the Twitter hate, whatever. I don't care.
It's the second one. It's Spawat 1983. Go with that shit. And he's gonna send you someone will send you the fuck off meme at some point. Anyway. Yeah. All right, moving on here. But let's talk about the fight. Eric Perez has he has at least 5 fights now in the UFC, right? 5 or 6? 6 fights. Started off on a 3-fight win streak over wins over John Albert, Ken Stone, and Bloodworth. Byron Bloodworth. What is he? Is he English? No, he's American. No shit.
Uh-huh.
Whenever you hear some kind of nickname like that, I'm assuming he's like European. But but since then lost to Takei Mizugaki. And then decision lost to him, decision lost to Edwin Figueroa, and then got rear naked choked by fucking Brian Caraway after getting fish hooked in the mouth. Illegal ass, dirty ass trick. Is it legal? It's illegal, right?
No, that's illegal.
Fish hook's not illegal? Man.
No, it is illegal. I was like,
Jesus.
That's illegal.
Right, I was gonna say if that shit's not illegal, everyone should be doing it. But anyway, so Eric Perez, pretty well-rounded guy. Good. He's good on the hands, probably better on the ground. Is he a wrestler? Do you know?
Yeah, he is.
He's a wrestler. Okay, that makes sense. He's a wrestler. Taylor Lapalus, Double Impact. 10 wins, 1 loss. and he fools you with the double impact shit because he's got 6 submissions on his record. 6 of his wins are stubs. Okay, so I feel like he's just playing a mindfuck game with everybody by saying I'm a good striker, and then I'm gonna take your leg now, or whatever he does, or guillotine choke. But he has 2 fights in the UFC: win over Rocky Lee and a win over Yuta Sasaki. So he's got 2 in a row coming into Mexico. I don't know. It's a weird fight for me to call. I'm gonna go with Eric Perez, man. That dude's just super well rounded, both feet and the ground. So if Lapis wants to take to the ground, hey, go for it, dude. But who you got in this one?
I gotta agree with you. I think Eric Perez has this Goyito. I think, I don't know. I honestly think I saw an interview with Lapalus where they were asking him about Paris and everything, and he seemed emotional about that. He seems emotionally connected still to it, and I think that is going to play a little bit of a factor here of having your home country, or your home city or whatever being attacked and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, like Americans, we're like yeah. We're gonna go do this, like we kind of rally behind stuff like that. We're kind of meatheads like that, like just kind of dumbly follow the flag as it, goes somewhere. But I don't think that Lapalus is gonna have his head on straight for this fight. Other than that, had it been just a normal fight, I think this would have been one of those fights that would have gone back and forth, probably to a decision. But sorry. But I think Goyito is gonna end up getting the upper hand here real quick. Like I said, he just doesn't seem like Lapalus doesn't seem like he's all there. Like his mind is all here, for this fight. So he might surprise me. He might come out with some of that double impact. He might watch a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie in the back or something and really get pumped up. But I really doubt it.
Yeah, and real quick, I don't know no one said anything about the comments except for I think Adam said something about the comments, but hoping he'd be able to comment again. But from what we understood on YouTube and Google and all that is because they're linked now. Google Plus and YouTube is linked. So I think the way to be able to comment, weirdly enough, is you got to have a Google Plus account and connect it to YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, just bullshit some shit on Google Plus. I guess next time or if you want to do it now, but. It's
hey man, there's some really good content on there, okay?
Like what, motherfucker? Shit. No. Yeah, no, ain't nothing. We know. Anyway, we pay attention, and if anyone at Google Plus is watching, you guys fucked up. So they're not. If they are though, watch us get pulled off the air real fast. Anyway, so yeah, I got Eric Perez, man. At home, well-rounded. He's already experienced a loss in the UFC or 2 losses in the UFC. He's got to be pretty pissed about that last one. Even though Goyito is the nicest guy you've ever talked to easily, or seems like it, he's going to be – here's the problem with this one, okay? I forgot who he was originally supposed to fight. This guy's a replacement, and it might be a harder fight. I think we were talking about this before. It might be a tougher fight for him than the other one was going to be, right? So, he's going to step up to the challenge, but Lapalus is coming in on late notice. How late? I don't know. Not very late. He had enough time to prepare, especially if he's always physically active and always training and everything. So he should be okay to perform well. But I think he's just gonna have too much, man. And I tend to side with the guys from that are fighting at home when I'm having a hard pick on it. But this isn't really that hard of a pick. So I'm going with
except for Kane, right?
Huh?
Except for Kane.
What do you mean? I'm picking Kane anyway. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna get. You know what's funny is when Kane fights, I'm gonna root for Kane. I'm gonna pick Kane. But if Verdun wins, I'm just gonna be like, fuck, I knew it. This is some bullshit. So, don't worry, I'm ready for all the shit that you and Andrew are gonna give me on Twitter for fucking ever about Verdun beating him if that happens again. So anyway, those are your FS1 prelims. Again, free fights tonight. Watch them, and it's actually a low key good card. So anyway, FS1 prelims, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. On Fox Sports 1 or whatever equivalent you have wherever you live. Anyway, moving on here to the main card that starts at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. With the whole, what's it called, daylight savings time thing, man. People on the East Coast got to stay up later, and I don't care. So, fuck them.
Tough.
Yeah, tough shit. Anyway, first fight on the main card, Efrain Escudero, hecho en Mexico, against Leandro Silva Buscape. I'm going to find out what that means. Anyway, but Efrain Escudero, we know his story. Was the poster boy of inconsistency for a while, and he's been surprising us lately. I mean, he came to the UFC, lost 2 in a row, kicked out, right? Comes back in 2014, last year September, loses to Leandro Santos. When we thought for sure, it's like, oh, he's back, he's gonna have his chance, he wants to stay now, and then loses the decision. Mind you, for me, it was closer than it was scored. I thought it was gonna be way closer, or I thought it was way closer. Should have been a split, but it wasn't. He lost it unanimous. Then comes back in February of this year, beats Rodrigo de Lima via decision, and then submit. This is what I liked about him. Submits Drew Dober by guillotine choke, which gives you a little bit of hope in Efrain Escudero, local Arizona guy, trains in I think the MMA lab in Glendale, I believe is where it is. So he's a local Arizona guy. I root for him because of that, and I'm gonna pick him in this fight. But Leandro Silva is not a punk. I think he's had 4 fights in the UFC. He no contested against Drew Dober. Now, if I remember correctly, did he test something? Do you remember?
I think so.
I believe he tested positive for something because it was overturned by CAB MMA. What the hell, CAB MMA?
That's the
Brazilian.
The Brazilian, yeah.
The Brazilian commission overturned it. I'm gonna find out real quick why it was overturned. You know what? It might have been that. Is it that fight where the ref like helped him out almost?
I think so. It might have been.
I'm gonna research why you make your pick, but go ahead and make your pick on this fight. But this dude's weird. He has a win over lost to Trinaldo in last year September. Went right back into it in November. Beat Charlie Brenneman via rear naked choke, and of course Charlie Brenneman no longer in the UFC. Then fought Drew Dober. That got no contested after I think he initially won. And then just back here in June, beat Luis Gonzalez via decision at Fight Night Romero Machida. But go ahead and make your pick on this one, and what do you think of this fight?
Man, it's a tough fight. But I think I heard that Efrain Escudero spent some time up here in California training with Rafael Cordero, getting some time in. Yeah, so I think he understood what he was getting involved with here with Leandro Silva, being the striker that he is and everything, and I think he made the adjustment ahead of time to come in here, get some really, really good rounds with people that really know what they're talking about in the striking department. Kings MMA, if you look at the guys there and they're striking, it's really a sight to see. I mean, I'm pretty excited to see some of those guys coming out of there really show off that striking pedigree that Rafael Cordero is really teaching them. And I think Efrain Escudero is going to really he's probably gained something from there. Hopefully he's learned how to really gauge his range and everything, and really be able to neutralize Silva's attack. And that's why I'm going with Escudero. I also like the guy. I mean, like you said, a lot of these picks, it's really one of those picks that you just want to pick the guy because he's an old school guy. You've seen him around a bunch of times. You've seen him fight. You've seen him struggle, and you just want to root for the guy, and you hope that he can put it together. And hopefully, with the adjustments he's made of with Kings MMA, at the lab with the wrestling, he was a wrestler in college and all that stuff. So I think he's putting it together now, and I think he's going to be able to neutralize Silva.
Now, and I was right. It was the bad refereeing situation in Brazil. If you guys remember, it was Leandro Silva against Drew Dober in Brazil. Turns out the referee, Eduardo Herdy, who, by the way, is still reffing, stopped the fight when he thought Drew Dober passed out to a guillotine choke. But if you guys remember that fight, Drew Dober was literally this far from getting out of the choke. He was in no danger whatsoever.
Yeah.
You remember that? So, and of course, Eduardo Herdy comes out later on, trains with Mr. Silva in whatever gym they train at. So that was a huge conflict of interest. So CAB MMA did the right thing and overturned it. Initially, they weren't going to. They immediately came out the same night and said, no, we're not going to do that shit, right? And then got a lot of crap from a lot of people, and they decided to change it to a no contest, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But, I thought for sure they were going to rebook that one, too, for the States or something, but they just didn't. So, that's the reason behind the no contest.
They're going to fly that ref out here, too, or what?
No, dude, you need to just ban that guy. I don't know. That was awful. That was just awful. And it's a conflict of interest alone. He trains with the guy, right? So it's like, it's quite obvious. You don't ref that fight, dude. But of course, that has to be disclosed by one or the other, right? In order for people to know about that. and it wasn't disclosed in time. It was disclosed afterwards through freaking Instagram. So that's the reason that that went to no contest. All right, and let me make sure I got the right fight up. Okay. Up next, we got Horacio Gutierrez, the Punisher, against Enrique Barzola, El Fuerte. So we got the two least original motherfuckers on the entire card. Couldn't think of anything better than the Punisher and El Fuerte, which translates to the strong one, or the strong one. Can't think of anything better. So, incidentally, the strong one is a Peruvian guy. So I expected something like that from Mexican dude, but no, not at all. So we got Mexico against Peru. The Punisher, he actually had, I don't know if you watched the weigh-ins, he had a headband that said the Punisher on it, roared at the crowd and all that. He was super hyped, and I think that's telling, because that's just begging for adrenaline dump, right, at the fight. So Horacio Gutierrez, again, this is one of the, if I'm not mistaken, we were talking about before the show, the finalist, one of the finalists for this season's of Tough Latin America. This is one of the finalist fights at 155 pounds. So more than likely, these guys are featherweights once they're out of here, or once they get past this fight. Most likely featherweights. 3-1 for Gutierrez, 11-2 for Barzola. But I gotta think that 11-2 isn't against UFC talent, and that 3-1 for Gutierrez, nowhere near UFC type of talent, I don't think. But who you think in this fight, man?
Did you make your pick? Did you say who?
Well, no, because I'm gonna pick based by nationality. So might as well you give the intelligent pick. Go ahead.
Well, that's a tough thing. You really had to study this season of Tough Latin America, and honestly, I just couldn't do it, man.
I don't know anybody that watched it. Honestly, watching the first season, I think me and Kirby went back and forth talking about it. Me and Fred Kirby were talking about it. We both watched. I watched all of it. He watched, I think, most of it.
Yeah. That's because Kane was there. Yeah, I get it.
I was about to say, all right, because Kane was on there. I was a fanboy at the time, okay? But fucking.
Hey, how light is that bandwagon right now? Is it pretty light?
The Kane, oh, dude. I'm still on it, but dude, I'm alone. Ain't nobody else on that thing.
It's pretty empty.
Everybody else is veiled.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like when they do the what was it, the road to Japan. They had that tough season in Japan. These guys, they're fighting for a job, basically. And that's the thing. I think whoever comes into this fight really knowing what is at stake and really can capitalize on what the other person is missing is going to win this fight. Like you said, I think the problem with Gutierrez, sorry, is the fact that he's fighting at home, in his home country, Mexico. He's got a big crowd behind him. He's gonna be super hyped. But Barzola, in my opinion, even though he has more experience, quote unquote, it just, to me, it doesn't seem like he has enough. If you saw the record coming out of the Tough Latin America, unanimous decision, then I think he got a submission or a TKO, one of those. So tough fight, okay fight, and then now he's here. Not really impressive way to go through the house. And I think it's just going to be Gutierrez's time to really shine here. As long as he can keep his emotions from blinding him too much, I think Gutierrez has this. He just seemed to be the more well-rounded fighter. In all his fights, he just seemed kind of like the grittier guy. And of course, I'm saying that because, Mexican fighters were known for having that gritty style that, like, punch me in the face 10 times, as long as I hit you once, it don't matter.
Yeah, worth it.
Yeah. So I think that's what we're going to see a little bit of in this fight. And yeah, I just think Gutierrez is going to be able to grind out a victory here.
All right. Now, both of these guys aren't that good. Let's just throw it out there. They're not that good. They really aren't. Barcelona's only fought in Peru. This is the first time I think he's fought outside of Peru, unless his fusion fighting was. No, it was in Peru as well. He's only fought Peru ever. All right. This is the first fight besides whatever he had in. Actually, what was Tough Latin America? Was that in Vegas? I don't remember 100%.
I think so. It might have been.
If it was in Vegas, it's the first time he's been out of Peru, basically, right? But this is for sure first fight he has out of Peru. And he didn't even go there. He went to Mexico, so he's supposed to speak Spanish. He's good to go, right? So it's not going to be. I don't think it's going to be like a huge change just because the cultures are similar. So, you know, for example, if you go from Peru to the United States, for sure the second you land in Vegas, you're like, holy shit, they got electricity to waste on everything, you know? And you're going to go to Mexico, it's like, oh, no, this is like home, we're good. So, and Monterrey is not a small city either. It's a pretty famous city. So it's from what I remember, I've only been there like 3 times in my life, and I was like a kid, so it's been a while. But anyway, and Horacio Gutierrez from my hometown of Guadalajara. That's why I'm picking him. He's a hometown boy. Fighting in Mexico. Just hope he doesn't show up and does the adrenaline dump. But you know, speaking just completely as unbiased as I can, hometown guy. You know what I mean? Fighting at home, as long as the adrenaline dump doesn't hit him. If the adrenaline dump hits him, we could see Enrique get the win here and get the become a tough winner and all that. But realistically, if one of these guys goes to the UFC and fights actual UFC talent, they both get smoked. Like there's no shot, you know. So you hope something good comes out of one of these guys. They're both young, but it's kind of one of those fights. And let's talk about this real quick. Putting now they did this at a pay-per-view. I believe it was one of the Rousey pay-per-views, if I'm not mistaken, where they put 2 tough finalists. I think the tough Brazil finalists on the pay-per-view card. It was awful. Okay, so now you're thinking,
they got the attention that they did not deserve. So
good
for them.
Everyone dished out cash to see 2 fights that weren't even necessary to be seen. Okay, and so now we got 2 of these guys on the main card. Luckily, it's free, so you don't have to pay for this one. But I don't know. Definitely pay attention to this one. You know, I just don't see either one of these guys doing much at 145. That's what they're gonna go to, right? If you go tough, you usually fight at the division higher because it's easier to make weight, you know, multiple times during the season. But they're gonna drop to 145, no question. And who's at 145? Jose Aldo, Kenan Barrow's now in there. You know, Conor McGregor, but they'll never see that guy ever. And so it's that kind of thing. And I'm sure I'll get a potato bother or text or a tweet in a second here. Anyway, moving on here to the other tough Latin America finalist fight: Eric Montano and Enrique Marin, Perry versus Wasabi. I would love to ask him what Perry means, but have you ever seen Scrubs? It's a little older show. Scrubs with God. I
know what show you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember the doctor? Perry Cox is his name. Okay, same exact hairstyle this dude. Okay, for sure. It's up like that, all weird, makes no sense that it's there. But that's why I think it's called Perry. So I would love if I ever get a hold of this guy, I'm gonna ask him that shit for sure. But Wasabi, you know, Spaniards, man. I don't know what they're picking. So it's Mexico against Spain. We don't like each other. Just, you know, facts. Or they don't like us more, so we don't like us because they don't like them. But that's getting into a history thing.
Mexicans don't like anybody, really, man.
Huh?
Mexicans really don't like anybody. Especially
that's kind of true.
Especially if they have a rivalry in soccer. That shit ain't going down.
Don't even get started on that shit. All right, I started talking soccer with one of my cousins on my I call it my Mexico Facebook, where I can post family friendly shit. And then my other Facebook, that when that I'm normally on, I post all the shit that would offend the hell out of my family. So, so going back and forth with my cousin, he was getting heated about Mexico and USA before that game even went down. And when we won, he was putting up pictures of himself drunk with all his buddies and in my hometown's downtown. So that's what it is. Anyway, so again, 2 guys nobody knows, 2 guys nobody cares about, fighting at 170. So we'll probably move down to 155. And again, killers. Neither one of these guys is beating any UFC type of talent, right? So, I mean, you could almost just flip a coin and see who wins. But 6-3 for Perry. Wasabi comes in at 8-2. To me, it looks like the Spaniard is a little more well-rounded, and Perry has that creepy fucking look in his UFC picture that I'm staring at it. Yeah, he's like staring at you all weird with his hair all fucked up. Anyway, somehow Sherdog actually has records on these guys, so let's talk about that shit. Anyway, Enrique Wasabi, 8-2, has never fought. Doesn't look like he's fought outside of Europe. Mind you, though, a lot of good talent in Europe. If we're actually gonna, go into that, plenty of good talent coming out of Europe. So he might have faced higher caliber guys than Montano, who's only fought at XFC. And if I'm right, he's actually fought in Brazil a couple times, stuff like that. So they've gone places, but I hate to do this. I'm actually leaning towards the Spaniard here, but I don't know who to pick yet. Who you got in this one?
Are you sure? Oh my God. Did all the Mexican people that are watching the show just pass out? Because that might have happened.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a bunch
Better
of
check
angry
on
tweets
those
in
people.
Spanish.
Better check on those people right now.
Ah.
I agree with you. Just listening to the pre-fight packaging deal
Mhm.
of people talking about this fight. This is the fight that's most probably got people hyped up because both of these guys are the ones that have pretty much the better skill set out of that house.
Oh, for sure.
And both of these guys are tougher individuals than most of the guys that were in the house. And a lot of people are really high on Wasabi. They're really high. They really think that he's got that it factor, that potential to really be a breakout star from this season. Um, and I agree. I mean, like you said, he seems to be the more well-rounded guy. He didn't show quite a lot in this season, but I think he's. I'm just gonna start this. He's Holly homing us. You know, he's holding back. He's not really
Holding back.
showing everything. You know, and I think that's what we're seeing here. I think he's got something up his sleeve. He seems pretty confident coming in here, so I think he's got something for Montano that he hasn't seen before.
You know what's bothering me now that I remember it? The first season of Tough is
That Kane was there? Yeah, that bothered me too.
yeah, you need to chill with it shit. No, there's
You didn't
Montano,
speak
Eric
Spanish?
Montano.
Well,
Shut up. There's another Montano guy that fights out of Mexico. He fought and I think he just tested positive for something. He got suspended. He looks exactly like this guy.
Are you sure it's not the same guy?
It might be the same fucking guy. He looks exactly like this guy. He's way bigger, but what the? And he's got fucked up hair too.
That's
Dude,
hilarious.
I'm gonna do some. I'm gonna investigate this shit. Fucking, I'm gonna find out about it anyway. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I hate doing it. I'm gonna go with Wasabi in this one. I'm just going to. I feel kind of ashamed for doing it, but whatever. All
You
right.
should be.
Oh,
Hating
chill
on
out.
Kane, hating on the Mexicans.
I'm not
That's
hating on Kane, motherfucker. You starting shit. You should be ashamed. All right, asshole. Anyway, because Kane's Mexican American. He's hitting you twice, and you still root against him. What the fuck? Anyway, moving on to the actually
Oh, this
the
is gonna be
second
good.
legit fight. Oh, it's gonna be good. Henry Cejudo, the messenger, against Jussier Formiga. This is gonna be a good fight. I think it's gonna be a good fight. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, Cejudo's gonna come to the UFC and just wet blanket everybody." No, his striking has actually gotten pretty decent. He could put combinations together, all right. He walks forward. If he has to take you down, he will. Here's the thing about Cejudo, though. I haven't seen very much of his wrestling in a fight. He hasn't been very effective with it. You know what I mean? So that tells me either his wrestling was overrated, or the guys that he fought had good wrestling defense, or at least good enough wrestling defense to make it look like his wrestling ain't shit, right? So it's a little weird. But Henry Cejudo coming off, well, he's undefeated, obviously, but he has a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. Beat Dustin Kimura via decision, beat Chris Carriazo via decision, beat Chico Camus via decision, beat The Scale, which is the biggest fight for him, or was the biggest fight for him, because he couldn't make weight for shit for a while. So, undefeated. So for him, it seems like the battle is almost always The Scale to me. And when he shows up, he almost always performs well. And as we know, the lighter weights, it's unless they're good on the ground or they're just exceptional with the hands, they usually don't have knockout power. So we're probably going to get another decision here. However, Jussier Formiga, plenty of experience to go, man. He lost to John Dodson, back in his first fight by TKO. Beats Chris Carriazo after that. Loses to Benavidez by TKO. Trend's coming. Okay. Beats Scott Jorgensen via rear naked choke, and then wins the next two against Zach Makovsky and Wilson Heist via decision. It seems like Jussier Formiga, for as honestly decent as he looks on the feet for the most part, can't handle strikers. And Henry Cejudo has become sort of a striker. You know what I mean? Pretty good striker. So I'm gonna go first, man. I'm gonna take Henry Cejudo here by decision. And I think he's just gonna, if he goes to the ground, Cejudo's just gonna get on top of him, and I think ground and pound him a little bit. But I think he's gonna stay on most. If he stays on the feet, Cejudo's just gonna pick him apart and just point fight him to death. So yeah, who you got in this one?
I just missed it. Who the hell said that they're not sold on Cejudo?
Mike Jarvis says, I'm not sold on Cejudo just yet. I'm not either.
Who said?
Mike Jarvis?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing about, and real quick on his point, I'm not sold on him either. People are saying this is for a title fight for the winner. Hell no. For neither guy. Okay? I mean, yeah, maybe you want to go ahead and just throw somebody at DJ. Here, get paid. Go for it, right? But I don't want to see that on a pay-per-view. I don't want to see it co-maining a pay-per-view. That's the fight that you put. Look, I know. I like DJ. I like watching DJ. But I'm not going to pay $60 to watch him beat down a guy who he probably finished in the first 2 rounds and just pop for 5 rounds and then finish him in the last second. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna wait for that. I'm sorry, but I love
that
watching
makes it
BJ.
exciting, man. That makes it exciting.
Oh, okay.
Will he finish at the last second?
We should make that a drinking game or a betting game or some kind of pool game. Let's do that shit. But anyway, go ahead. Who you got in this one?
Someone's gonna die doing that. Okay, so who did you pick?
I picked Henry Cejudo.
You went with Cejudo? Okay. Here's my problem. I think everybody's overselling Cejudo, and I think you pointed out the big problem is that he hasn't really learned how to use his Olympic style wrestling and adjusted it to MMA wrestling, which, as we know, is completely a different thing. It's not even close to being the same thing, you know. And if you look, Cejudo, when he was a wrestler, he was really good at those open mats, takedowns. You know, he was really good at that. And for some reason, he hasn't been able to transition, getting people down in the center of the octagon, which is where he would be most effective, in my opinion. If he was able to take people down in the center, just lay on them, beat them down, that's where he'd be unstoppable there, because then you can't use the fence to wall walk your way back up. You can't, you're trapped. You're in the middle of a lake drowning and you're nowhere near a rope, And I think if he's able to adjust that and to fix that, then he'll be great. The problem is that I think a lot of people are sleeping on the fact that Jussier Formiga is ex-champion, for one. And he has fought the who's who in the WEC, and he gave everybody fits. I mean, like you just named off the people that he lost to. John Dotson, who fought for a title, gave DJ a tough fight. What was the other one?
Benavidez, Jiu-Jitsu.
Benavidez, who everybody considers is the number 2 guy in the division. Yeah. I mean, these aren't chumps that he's losing to. He's not just, getting worked over by, I don't know, some chump that just got into the division, He's losing the top guys. So I think this is actually, in my opinion, this is a stepping stone. It's a stepping stone either for Formiga to, really come back into form and get into a title contention fight, or it's Henry Cejudo to show that he's actually better than what we think, and he's actually ready for that title shot. And I think if Henry Cejudo is able to look good in this fight and make Formiga, lose decisively, I think he should definitely get that title shot. But in my opinion, I think I'm going to go with the upset pick here, and I think Formiga is going to pull this off. I think this is Formiga's chance to really shine. And you also have to think Henry Cejudo is fighting in Mexico. A lot of pressure on him to really perform to his best abilities. So we'll see. But I think Formiga's got this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with your points. I mean, that's definitely could happen. And there's not much height difference. They're both tiny guys. I don't know if you've seen Henry Cejudo in person, but he's a tiny dude. Like, you would never look at him and be like, oh, he's a fighter. I'm not gonna bring up that fun little thing that went down at World Series of Fighting. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about it after. Anyway, but yeah, here's the thing about Cejudo, though. I agree. Not sold on him, right? Hasn't used his Olympic caliber wrestling that well yet, and I think this might be the chance to do it if he doesn't just keep it on the feet and kind of try to exploit Formiga's lack of striking or being able to beat strikers for the most part. But Andrew's picking Cejudo as well.
Mean a hittable chin? Because that's what it is. That's what it is for Formiga. He's just taking so much damage over so much time that now his chin, he's getting chinny, as they say, But it's not even like he's not Chuck Liddell where he takes one shot that he should have ate before and goes down. He's more like, the accumulation builds up way faster than it used to, But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think Cejudo has the power to pop him and put him down, like some of the other guys that have done it. But
right.
I just think Formiga's that wily veteran that's going to be able to shut down what Cejudo can do.
All right. Well, let's move on to the co-main event of the evening.
Skip.
Yeah.
Skip.
You want to really? Wow. I actually want to see it. I know who's going to win, but really? I actually want to see it.
Come on. What's going to happen in that fight?
Some psycho shit's gonna happen. That's what's gonna happen. Remember Gilbert Melendez and Diego Sanchez? Come on now.
Nah, man, that is not gonna happen in this fight.
Or it's gonna be
we're gonna get Diego Sanchez post what was it, steak tartare? That's the Diego Sanchez we're gonna get.
Steak tartare? What?
Yeah. Didn't what was it? Did he fight or did he something? Yeah. He fought and he said he had diarrhea the whole time.
Oh
because he
yeah.
ate steak tartare the day before and he looked like garbage for that fight. Yeah, we're gonna get that Diego Sanchez. He's gonna go get some of those street tacos and then bam, diarrhea, chorro all day.
Oh man, watch him pull out of the fight last second. That would blow. Anyway, okay, whatever. Let's talk about it. Ricardo Lamas number four featherweight, the bully taking on Diego Sanchez, the nightmare. He went from the nightmare to the dream to the nightmare.
Is he the nightmare again?
Supposedly, look, I'll tell you what. If you go to UFC.com and go look at the picture, on the schedule and the events, he looks like he's holding in a fart. Like he looks like he's fighting to hold in a fart. And
he always looks that, man.
I think he thinks that he looks menacing, but he doesn't scare anything or anybody with that little dude. So anyway, Diego Sanchez, I can't believe I'm talking about a guy that's such a huge deal for the UFC. Obviously, been fighting since that first season of Tough. I think he's the last one, in fact, right?
Yeah. Well, no, Josh Koscheck is still fighting, but not in the UFC.
Okay, well, I guess we're counting that, and he's one of the two guys. But I'll tell you what, I think Koscheck retires before Diego Sanchez does. I think that guy's crazy. Speaking of which, okay, here's the reason why I'm picking Ricardo Lamas, okay? Sure, Ricardo Lamas lost to Jose Aldo and got leg kicked to all shit, right? But Diego Sanchez don't kick legs, okay? And Diego Sanchez has been hit so many times, I guarantee he forgets his name a few times. And that's not really making fun of him. That's a legit concern, okay? You remember that fight in Houston? In that fight in Houston with Gilbert Melendez, right? When Gilbert won, and Diego Sanchez was literally slurring on the microphone, trying to say, yeah, they know who won, but it came out like that was a real concern. A lot of people were laughing at him. I was kind of like, oh shit, dude, take that guy to the hospital right now. Like something's wrong with that guy, right? He's taking so much damage and still wants to fight. Now, just real quick on the Diego Sanchez thing, I've heard of gyms, I've seen coaches tell fighters, hey, it's over. You've taken a lot of damage. At this point, we're thinking about your health. We're thinking about your quality of life moving forward. I'm surprised, Greg Jackson hasn't done that for him. You know what I mean? Because we've seen him take beatings. I mean, the shots he took against Ross Pearson, right? And mind you, Ross Pearson, he's a good striker. He's a really good striker. I like him as a striker. And just Ross Pearson's like lost. I call him the lost soul of the UFC, but that's just me. Gilbert Melendez put hands on him. Jake Ellenberger put hands on him. Who else? BJ Penn TKO'd him. Made the doctor stop the fight in the fifth.
My God, that's the most brutal head kick cut I've ever seen in my life, dude. Okay. That changed my life, dude. That was life-changing. I was thinking about taking up Muay Thai before that fight, and then I saw that kick. I was like, no, I don't want to get kicked in the head like that. Nope.
Yeah. And real quick, Mike makes a point on Cejudo. Cejudo will end up like Sarah McMahon, basically making the point that Sarah McMahon, gold medalist in wrestling, ended up not doing much. She was oh, okay, whatever. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about this fight.
Look. Wait. Sarah McMahon, though, she just never evolved her game at all. She just figured, okay, I can wrestle people down. I'm just gonna push them up against the fence and I'm gonna take them down. Miesha Tate was like, nope, you ain't pushing me nowhere. And then punch her in the face. That's pretty much all you have to do with her. But see, that's the problem. She never evolved her game. You never said, oh, she's evolving her game. Nope, she never did. Henry Cejudo, since he started, we've seen him evolve his game. His hands have gotten better. His ability to get in the clinch and try to go for takedowns that sometimes work, sometimes don't work. That's the difference.
Yeah. I mean,
come on, man, Sarah McMahon, poor chick.
You bring up a good point, but there's a lot of things about wrestlers, they don't like to get punched in the face. Right?
Oh, okay, here we go. Brock Lesnar.
No. I'm talking about like Sarah McMahon don't like to get punched. Clearly, doesn't like to get punched. Yeah. Tate showed that. So,
hey, Who likes to get punched in the face? Name me one. Okay, wait, whoa. Before
We're
you
talking
say
about
Diego
Diego
Sanchez,
Sanchez.
yeah, no. Before you say Diego Sanchez,
We're talking about Diego Sanchez, dude. What the fuck is a prime example? Anyway, Mark Hunt. Let's keep moving. Fuck it. Anyway, Ricardo Lamas is coming off a loss to Chad Mendes via TKO in the first round, and that was a fight right before Chad Mendes lost to McGregor, right?
was it, or
Yeah,
was it after?
no, it was before. It was in
No, it was
April.
before.
Yeah, it was in April. So it was before. So he's beat guys like Dennis Bermudez. He beat him by the guillotine choke at 180, UFC 180. He's been Eric Koch, not a huge whatever TKO win. He beat a younger Cub Swanson by arm triangle. Lost to Yuri Alcantara. That was to me that was back at WEC, but he wasn't as involved as he is now, obviously, right? But another guy comes out of WEC. He's fought everybody: Danny Castillo, James Cross. And list goes on. So look, to me, Ricardo Lamas is a solid fighter. And unfortunately, he's got Jose Aldo as a monster in the division, right? And obviously, as much as I'd love to say Lamas could beat McGregor, I think that's going to be left up to Jose Aldo to do. I don't think Lamas could beat McGregor. So
really,
I don't think Lamas could beat McGregor, but I think he can give him a good fight. But I don't think he could beat him. Anyway, so let's talk about this fight. Diego Sanchez takes a lot of punishment. Here's the problem. You can hit him anywhere you want. He'll drop, pop back up like a freaking Terminator, and keep going like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. So he could possibly land something on Ricardo Lamas and hurt him. It's going to be a good fight, but let me take it back. Let me roll back. Remember the old UFC guy, the Just Bleed guy? Remember that guy? He had Just Bleed on his chest, and he was like trying to roar and look menacing and shit, but he's just a drunk fuck in the crowd. That crowd's gonna love this fight because it's just gonna be rock'em sock'em. It's gonna be craziness, but I think Ricardo Lamas is gonna murk him. I'm not gonna say skip the fight, but I wish Diego Sanchez wouldn't be fighting this guy. I wish they would give him like young guys, like up and comers that aren't gonna last anyway, and just pad his record and then let him go off thinking he's great and everything. But it's going to be sad. It's not going to be a BJ Penn, Frankie Edgar type of fight, but it could possibly go that way, I think. Possibly. But I'm going to pick Ricardo Lamas in this one. To me, it's an easy pick. What do you got?
All right, you're totally wrong.
Oh,
all right. You're totally wrong.
Okay.
And this is why. Diego Sanchez, he's not even real, man. He's not even real. He's a machine. And you can't hurt that guy. Diego Sanchez, he's like Jesus, He just won't go. No, I'm just joking. Nah, man. Look, Diego Sanchez has I think he takes the playbook, from who was it? From Mark Hunt or no, Roy Nelson. I mean, he's taken that playbook. Justin Gaethje uses that playbook as well. They like to walk forward, eat shots, and hopefully land one shot that puts you down, and then they run at you and put you away. That's Diego Sanchez's style. That's Diego Sanchez's only really. I don't know. I think if you're talking about game plans, I don't even think Sanchez knows what that means. I mean, if you ask him, hey man, what game plan are you going into this fight? He'll probably be like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not playing football. Like, I don't think he'll even understand like what language you're speaking if you're talking strategy or doing something. I mean, and even if he does, like you said, once he gets hit in the head once, like all that just disappears. That's probably why he fights this way. He probably forgets game plan and just starts throwing fists. And I think the problem is Ricardo Lamas has enough power to put him away and put him away decisively, I think. And I think that's what's going to happen here. The only thing that Ricardo Lamas really has to worry about is that durability that Diego Sanchez has. But to me, he's cut so much weight to make this fight. Who knows if that durability is going to be there?
Exactly.
To me, that's the real problem. That's why I can't pick Sanchez in this fight because of the weight cut. So I'm thinking Ricardo Lamas is going to win this fight.
And again, and Mike, right before you said that, Mike Jarvis tweeted in too. Diego's not going to look good at 145. 100% agree. If you saw him at the weigh-ins, he bailed. All right. If you saw him at the weigh-ins, he looked pretty sucked in. To me, he looked sucked in. In this picture for the UFC.com, he looks sucked in. It's just he doesn't look normal, you know. At 155, you know, still look normal and everything, but you know, I guess trying to come in and be the bigger guy at 145, you know, Lamas is 5'8". I think Diego's 5'10". But as far as reach goes, 2-inch or 1-inch reach advantage for Diego Sanchez, 2-inch height advantage for Ricardo Lamas. But it's one of those things, man, where I enjoy watching Diego Sanchez fight. That Gilbert Melendez-Diego Sanchez fight that I did not think was going to go as long as it did. I thought for sure Melendez would murk him in the first or second round. For Diego to get hurt really bad and then come back and hurt Gilbert Melendez back, it just, you know, he's got that warrior spirit about him, right? But Jesse's right. He doesn't know what game plan means. The second he'll have a game plan at the very beginning. The second you land a shot in his chin, that game plan goes out the window, and he goes back to instinct, 100% instinct. Just, you know, rock and sock him. So it's you hope for a good performance from Diego, but I don't see it. You know, I really hope that you know, that he gets out of the fight game sometime soon. I hope he hey, what's up, little guy?
You see?
Say hello, America. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's you.
Anyway, yeah, I'm taking Ricardo in this one, and that weight cut for Diego Sanchez is harsh. He looked bad at the weight. He looked bad. So
I mean, come on, dude. He started his career at 170. Who the hell? Like, you never hear people dropping weight later on in their life. You only hear people going up in weight. You know,
an example of a guy like BJ Penn.
Mm-hmm. You're just depleting yourself to, like, what do they say, the point of diminishing return. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're losing a lot of stuff that you really need, like the vital brain fluid, you know, that stuff that keeps your brain from getting knocked around when you're getting hit, especially with his style of fighting. You know, I don't know, man. I'm kind of worried about this fight because we could see like a really bad injury come from this fight because of, you know, him attempting to be the first fighter to fight in 3 weight classes for some reason. I don't know, man. I don't know what his deal is in wanting to keep proving that he can fight and trying to find the right weight class to fight in. What?
Yeah, okay, go ahead. All right, little man, what do you think of what do you think of Diego Sanchez? What's up? He wants in on this, man.
I know he does.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's the problem. Yeah, I mean, and anybody that's looking for one of those sleeper picks, don't pick this one. No. I mean, this is one of those picks where he might look good for a minute or two, but you know that depleting effect of cutting all that weight, it's just not going to be good for him. And if you saw him at the weigh-ins, man, he looked worse than Conor when he did his weight cut. Yeah. He looked worse than Ronda on her last weight cut. He was probably the worst I've seen in weight cuts recently. He looked really bad. So, like I said, I'm concerned for him.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you, man. All right, let's move on to the main event of the evening. 5 rounds in the welterweight division. Believe it or not, welterweight division, because Kelvin Gastelum made weight. He won his first battle of the entire fight. Made weight, 171, taking on late replacement Neil Magny to come in for the immortal Matt Brown, who was injured. I think it was an elbow injury, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't able to fight, obviously. So we got number 13 Neil Magny against number 15 Kelvin Gastelum. And I gotta say, I think this is a bad matchup for Kelvin Gastelum. I don't like this matchup at all for Kelvin. Kelvin's been able to pull out fights where he was the underdog before, but it's just I don't like this fight for him at all, man. Who you got in this one?
Okay, I got Kelvin, and for the reason that I don't know if he's been always working with King's MMA. Has that been like a constant that he's always been there?
I believe he was he was training out of Yuma, and then someone told him, "Hey, stop being a dumbass and move somewhere." And I think he's been sticking on King's. And what was the other name? The other guys he was training with. You know what? I think it's been King's MMA. If you haven't noticed, him and Goyito have been hanging out a lot. And I think Goyito's out of Jacksonville, right?
Jackson's, yeah.
Yeah, but Goyito lives in LA or in California, somewhere in that area. So they've been hanging out a lot. He's in California.
Pretty much to me, what it looked like was most of the guys from Kelvin's team went to King's MMA to pretty much just train for the upcoming fight, because I'm guessing that the trip from California to Mexico would have been less than them going back to their place of where they live. So honestly, I think Kelvin must have picked up something good in that training camp. And I think he's gonna be able to utilize the stuff. And to me, Kelvin is the type of guy, the type of fighter that absorbs stuff and is able to use it instantly. He shows such a range in everything, in all his skills. And I think Neil Magny, even though he's a tough guy, kind of a late replacement here. And I just don't think Neil Magny is going to be prepared for the onslaught that Kelvin's going to come with. Kelvin in shape, prepared. I think he's going to be able to do what who was it? One of the Korean fighters hurt Magny real early, even though Magny ended up winning that fight. Yeah. But I think Kelvin's going to be able to keep up that pace, put a hurting on him early, and really put him away. I just think it's going to be a problem of. Oh yeah, it's going to be a problem of just preparation. That's what it's going to come down to.
I just heard your boy say Diego. I think that's what he said. Anyway, Code Blue tweet or hitting us up on YouTube saying the IV ban is taking its toll. Talking about obviously talking about Diego. Definitely take its toll. I'm really wondering which Diego we're gonna get tonight, or what kind of shape he's gonna be in. And then he says it's like this is being broadcasted in English and Spanish at the same time with all the names and shit. So that's very true, man. And then Mike Jarvis says, but what do we all know? We had it all wrong last week. Very true. So.
Yeah. Okay. Look.
Andrew's gonna be like,
we had it wrong. We had it wrong in the sense that, well, okay, most of us had it wrong in the sense that we all believed the hype train.
Yep.
I told you that this was the opportunity for somebody to take the reins and run, and she took the reins and ran with it. Well, I was here watching the fight, and I wasn't shocked as everybody was. I came out. I was playing with my kid. And they were like, "Oh, it's the start of the second round." And I came out and I saw that, and I was like, "Yep, that's what should have happened," because that was the opportunity for somebody to take that away from her. But I mean, you can't look at those things as precursors. It's one of those things that it builds. And I just don't see a lot of these people like. Talking about Diego Sanchez, I don't see him building towards anything. I just see him kind of like deconstructing his career slowly and kind of making a mockery of it, because he had a great career and now he's switching weight classes. Like he's trying to find something. He might as well just start switching camps every time he fights, and be one of those guys. Be a Paul Daly, where he just doesn't fit anywhere because he just doesn't really have it anymore,
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Him, Overeem does it for the win. Yeah. You got who? Kelvin? Okay.
Kelvin.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm going the other way. I think Neil Magny is a terrible matchup for him. I think he's going to put a pace on Kelvin that, unless Kelvin's able to put him away in the first two rounds or so. It's a 5-round fight, right? Yeah, it's main event.
Yeah, so, main event.
If it's main event, 5-round fight, I don't think Kelvin Gastelum has the gas to go 4-5 with Neil Magny, who's more than likely going to put a good pace on him. If it goes 4 or 5 rounds, Neil Magny's going to take this. He might not finish Gastelum, but he's going to win it by decision, I think. So I'm taking Neil Magny on this one. It's a bad matchup. And you know what I just realized? We ended up fucking talking about Ronda Rousey again. We just keep going back to Rousey. We can't stop. It's impossible to not talk about Rousey, apparently.
But why are you hating on that?
No, I'm not hating on it.
It's the biggest thing that's ever happened in this sport. Because think about it. Okay, look. For everybody that says I saw it coming, okay, I had my wife's physical therapist. He wanted to bet me money that Holly Holm was gonna win, and that's the only person that I know for a fact was ready to put his money where his mouth is. So if you didn't bet this fight, you didn't win $100,000 like that guy in Vegas, or what did he win, like $200 and something thousand. If you weren't that guy, you should shut up. All right? Yeah. You should shut up saying, "Oh, I saw it coming." Well, where's your betting slip? Because those odds were ridiculous. You should have borrowed money. You should have put money on the fight because you were so sure. And if you didn't do that, shut the hell up.
You know, it's funny though. Andrew did kept saying that
Yeah,
he
I
was
saw
picking
what
her.
he said. I
But the
don't
funny
bet.
thing about it,
Whatever.
is when I told him the odds, he goes, "Wait, you mean that I could have won over 100,000? Son of a bitch! Like he should have bet." So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, look, if you're that, like, trust me, like, if you see, like, you and me, we know these fights pretty well.
Hmm.
We know some of these fighters, and when you see odds that are so uneven, you just want to go bet these odds because you know that they're uneven because they don't know
Hmm.
what they're doing on making
Right.
these odds. Like what was it when what was the other one that I saw that was really ridiculous? I think it was the Tito Ortiz one. We got some music in the background.
Oh, yeah, you got
Um,
music.
I think it was Tito Ortiz where he was almost like I think he was a favorite for like a brief moment, and then like I guess people started coming in pouring money on what was it? What's his name? God, what's his name?
Remember
The
the guy?
Bellator champ.
Oh, Lee McGeary.
Yeah, McGeary. And then they were like, "Oh God, what the hell happened?" And then they adjusted the odds.
The
But
odds, yeah.
initially, I think Tito opened as the favorite, and I was like, "What the hell?" I wish I had a bunch of money to take those odds, man, because that
Yeah.
was ridiculous.
And I
But yeah,
think we all picked, or you and I picked McGeary, right? I don't think either one of us picked Tito, if I remember
no,
correctly.
who would pick McGeary? Come on.
No, Tito, I mean. I think we picked McGeary. So, yeah, well, he adjusted the music back there. Anyway, we got a couple tweets here. Not everyone is stupid enough to bet. I'm with you on that. Actually, I work too hard for my money, dude. I don't gamble. Anytime I've gone to Vegas, I take $50, and once I'm done, luckily I have the discipline to not gamble anymore. So anyway, so again, he picked Kelvin Gastelum. I'm picking Neil Magny in this one. I just think it's a bad matchup for him. Anyway, go over the times again. UFC Fight Pass early prelims, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 p.m. Pacific, only on Fight Pass or your friendly stream service. And FS1 prelims, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and the main card also on FS1, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time. I fully think this is like a low-key good card. I think we're going to get some performance out of it. Latino fighters tend to go out on their shield as much as they can, and they like to throw down. So,
Oh
usually
yeah,
the
see
cards.
that's the thing that makes this card really good
Mm-hmm.
is that you're not gonna see dudes not going for it. You're not gonna see dudes that just are kind of trying to hold out for the win. They're gonna be swinging, even if they're losing, even if they're winning. They just want to put on a show for the crowd. They want to make sure that when they get back home, they're not being made fun of. They're not
Yeah.
being berated. They want to go out and do something exciting. So that's what we're gonna see at least for the most
Yeah,
part.
and honestly, even if they lose, a lot of these guys go to the small towns and whatnot, and they're still heroes, even if they lose, because they go out on their shield. So, look, low key again, I think it's going to end up being a really good card. I'm hoping it is, but the Latino thing, I'm just confident they are. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with here. All right, that's going to do it for our pre-fight show for UFC Monterrey, UFC Mexico, what do you want to call it? Yeah.
What is it? 78 is what
78,
its number.
79, something
Yeah,
like that. I
78.
wish it would stick to one thing. Just stick to either the name or stick to the number. Stop mixing all this shit up.
From what I know, MMA Junkie is the only one that actually numbered them, and
Yeah.
that's the only website that like follows that, and everybody else kind of follows suit. But yeah, they've got it numbered. I think it's 78 is what they have it
Okay.
at.
All right. Well, then there you go. That's where that comes from. That's good knowledge right there. Anyway, you follow Jesse at Spawat1983 on Twitter, myself at Elo31. The page is at CrossBonesMMA. The website, CrossBonesMMA.com, of course. Find all of our stuff on there all the time. And come back tomorrow night, especially the Spanish speakers, as we do our Instalados en la Jaula show, myself and Jesse in Spanish with a little bit of Spanglish thrown in there once in a while. And, yeah, we have some fun with it.
Watch us
So,
butcher the Spanish language.
yeah, watch us destroy our heritage, one word at a time.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, everyone have fun watching the card. Thanks, Jesse, for coming on the show. You can kick it with us, either one of us, during the fights on Twitter. Are you watching them live or are you going to DVR them?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch them.
All right, cool. So I'll be watching live as well. We can shoot the shit on Twitter back and forth about the fights. Everyone have a good weekend. Appreciate it. Have fun watching the card. See you guys tomorrow on the Spanish show. And if you don't know Spanish, come learn a little bit. All right. So have a good weekend. See you guys.